On this episode, we discuss the very Cinemax titled Temptation, Confessions of a Marriage Counselor.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Flophouse. I'm Dan McCoy.
Hey everyone, this is Stuart Wellington.
Hi guys, I'm Hallie Hagland.
Back again.
Hey, Hallie
Just
Hagland.
my Elliot's gonna be back next time, so don't worry.
Fucking hold your horses.
Yeah.
Hold them in a horse pen.
Hold him with some those ropes that make you go nay.
Yeah.
Like a lasso?
A bridle.
Okay.
So if you're one of those human monsters who doesn't care for Hallie, don't worry. Your boyfriend Elliot will be back soon. But for all right-thinking people.
But guess what? He got a chick knocked up.
Yeah, deal with that.
He did the deed. Now he's got to be the dad. Mm-hmm. So, and all you, guys who like to listen to stuff, you're probably wondering, why
Sure.
does this episode sound so weird?
Yeah, well, it's the first in the new Flophouse Studios, a.k.a. my new apartment.
Ooh, Flophouse Studios.
Mark II.
Wap, 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 wap.
Y'all ready for this?
No. We have to pay royalties after a certain amount. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, so here at the Flophouse Podcast, we just got done watching a presumably bad movie, and now we're going to talk about it for a little while.
An allegedly bad movie.
Allegedly, that we paid American currency for.
Yeah, and that currency goes into the pocket of the person who made the bad movie. So if you feel bad for them, don't, because they are way richer than us.
Yeah, they're spread. Well, maybe. Yeah, probably.
This guy in particular is like a fucking millionaire.
So what did we watch tonight, Dan?
We watched Temptation, Confessions of a Marriage Counselor.
You said colon.
I think you messed it up, Dan. It's
Temptation.
Tyler Perry's.
No. There's two alternate. You either know it as Temptation, Confessions of a Marriage Counselor, or Tyler Perry's Temptation.
Okay. So So he was tempted by this confession? I don't get it.
Yeah. A marriage
He was
counselor.
tempted to make a really bad movie, and he gave into it and made this movie.
Burn. Tyler Perry, you've been burned.
Spoiler alert. So
Do you guys think he's listening to this?
He's
I would
probably-
feel so bad.
You want to be the sassy white lady in the next comedy. Whoa.
it's going to be tough because I remember last time we did a Tyler Perry movie, Elliot described him as having all the grace of a mattress with legs.
Yep.
And he could have easily been describing this script, Burn. So, what drew us to this? When I showed up, you guys were all raring to go.
Kim Kardashian was in it. Can't get enough.
Kim Kardashian's in it.
Mm-hmm. Hallie was very excited about how bootylicious everyone in this movie is.
You guys, everybody's got a booty. See, no, this is
that's your children's book. Everybody's got a booty.
this is my
By
first
H.
fear.
Hagland.
The fear that I articulated earlier to you guys is playing in immediately right now
What's that?
about.
Oh, okay. So
All right. Yeah, there's a little certain worry.
you want to get something off our chests.
Yeah. You're watching a Tyler Perry movie. Medea or not Medea in this case. Just a worry that we'll accidentally say something racist.
Yeah, so get it off for like legal reasons, right?
Like Brad Paisley will be an accidental racist. Or a real racist in the case of Brad Paisley's song.
So when I mentioned that Moesha is in this, I'm actually talking about Brandy's actually in this.
she's actually
right?
in
I'm
this.
not just
You're not just calling
Saying
some
they're
random
all
lady
saying
Moesha.
It's like
all
saying
like-a-looks or
Hannah
something.
Montana is in this.
Mm-hmm.
She's not. She doesn't have the booty to make the cut.
Yeah.
she probably
If Wrecking Ball has
auditioned for one of
proven
those.
anything, it's that she does not have the booty to star in Temptation, Confessions of a Marriage Counselor.
Yeah, I keep thinking you're going to say Confessions of a Bridal Counselor, which makes no sense at all. But what makes a lot of sense is this movie. So how does it? Doesn't it start in what like a? It looks like a police station.
No,
But it's like a triage marriage counseling center.
yeah, there's
There's fax machines going off. Phones ringing.
There's a lady seeking marriage counseling, and she's doing it alone.
No, she's with her husband when he walks out.
Oh,
He stormed
Yeah.
off. You were playing Dan McCoy, dinner detective again, I think.
more like Dan McCoy dinner arranger this time because dinner
Oh,
did come on
nice.
time.
You're like Jason Statham in the Transporter. No women, no kids.
Yep, just falafel. But yeah, no, she's getting advice from a marriage counselor, and the marriage counselor's like, "Let me tell you a long, boring story to
About my
illuminate."
sister. I don't think so.
Spoiler alert.
But yeah, so the framing device of the marriage counselor, instead of like asking questions and trying to find out, more about the couple that she's helping, instead she tells us a story, and then there's not even really a dissolve or anything. We go right into like 50 years later in the South.
I don't know, man. All I know is so there's a young lady played by
The girl from Friday Night
Night Lights,
Who
in
was
the last-
also on Full House. If you guys
Yeah.
ever watched, she was Michelle's friend. She wore one of those little hats, those blossom hats that flip
yeah,
up.
those little hats.
Her pout is memorable. It was burned in my mind, and I recognized it as soon as I saw it. And I never watched Friday Night Lights.
Okay, well,
You
more,
got it, dude.
More
So-
recently, she was the daughter of the barbecue guy, in
Barbecue
Friday Night.
salesman.
Yeah, but she gets married to her.
Man, Dan's doing the summary. Hold on to your hats.
No,
Hold on to your blossom hats.
You're gonna have to take over pretty soon because I'm terrible at it. But she gets married to her childhood sweetheart,
Named Bryce, who has an awesome flat top.
and her minister mom is not approving of it.
Also, this movie should be called Minister
Reverend?
Mom.
Yeah, the Reverend Minister
Sarah.
Mom.
Reverend Sarah.
But she's like, all right, fine. And so they go off to the big city of Washington, D.C., where the guy has a lifelong dream of owning his own pharmacy. And the woman is...
Dream big, dude.
Yeah, she's a counselor. She's got like a PhD in psychology.
She's got a
if that's a thing that you
master's.
can get. I
She
don't
has
know.
a master's.
She got her
All right.
master's.
She explains that in some
yeah.
exposition later
She
on.
reiterates that several times.
But she seems to believe that she is slumming by instead working for a millionaire matchmaker,
Played by
Vanessa Williams.
Kiss of the Spider Woman.
What, really?
Was it
That-
she in Kiss of the Spider Woman?
I
She got famous.
She sang "Colors of the Wind"
She was,
for the radio
she was in
version.
the Ugly
of-
Betty, basically playing the same part.
But with
In this case, she has a French accent, a
Thank you.
terrible French accent.
it's amazing.
Yep. As Stewart says, I have a better French accent.
Je ne pas bon Vanessa Williams.
Well, the funniest thing is that she still uses all the like vernacular of a native English speaker. So she's like, you are going to like what's the thing that people who say talk in English?
How do you say?
How do you say the bitch is back? Like,
Exactly as you just said it, lady.
how do you say it's totes crazy, bro?
But then, I mean, we have to give the movie this one thing, which is that Vanessa Williams' terrible accent finally pays off. There is one good joke in the movie where at the end of the movie, it turns out that she's from Georgia. And
Oh, and the keen therapist says she's having like an identity crisis because she spent 2 weeks in France, and she's like, and y'all know, no,
No, that was a
take two,
delightful-
Hallie. Come on.
and we all know you're from Georgia.
Yeah.
And then she was like, bitch, get out of my office. She actually said that. I'm not making that up.
High fives were given. End scene. So yeah, so
We
have
remember
this-
it well because it was the only time we were entertained.
So she works at this. She works for like a millionaire matchmaker trademark. And who else works there is Kim Kardashian.
Mm-hmm. Did you say Cardassian?
I said Kardashian. Did I say it wrong?
I think.
In 2 places.
Who works there
Don't worry about it. Who
is
plays?
Lando Calrissian.
Who plays her friend? She's a friend.
She's
or something,
just trying
right?
to give her a makeover, but she's really mean.
She does a lot. She delivers a lot of jokes, but without a lot. Her voice sounds like she's smiling, but her eyes, she's not smiling there.
She's a stealth joke disguiser because she delivers a lot.
So you don't know she's disguising the joke?
You don't know she's telling a joke.
She
And then
sneaks
you're
into places and disguises jokes. And then later on, you're like, "What the? Is this a joke? Oh my god!" And then you laugh and laugh and laugh.
If only she'd show up here tonight, guys. Burn
What?
on all of us.
I don't.
I don't know. So Kim Kardashian's there.
And she's given our hero a hell of a time.
Yeah, so I guess she doesn't seem to really fit in there. She's constantly complaining. She thinks she's working for a madam.
Well, this is the thing. Like, I actually sympathize with Kim Kardashian in these scenes because Kim Kardashian is just like, look, we appeal to a very like high-end clientele. You have to dress a little bit better. You have to be into this. You have to know who this really rich guy who just walked in is, who apparently is super famous. And I'm like, yeah, this
Yeah,
is
you
part
got to
of
know
this.
his medical history. If
this
he
is
has
your
HIV
job.
or
You
not.
work
Except for the
here.
fact that she dressed totally fine.
Yeah,
Like,
she worked dressed fine, but I don't know.
But not fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
not fine.
I like the way you just changed the vowel sound and changed the whole meaning.
Yeah, it's an I, or wait, no. Oh,
It's like an OI.
Yeah,
But
it's
no, I mean, she like
French.
clearly had no respect for the job that she was doing. She kept like putting down the idea of matchmaking. Like, oh, you're a madam, and like, and also being
But
like, I like
she-
to meet people the old-fashioned way. When there's no more old-fashioned way to meet someone than being made a match.
Haven't you ever seen Fiddler on the Roof?
Yeah, come on.
Fiddler. Yeah, no, well, that's true. It feels like that she was probably a bad hire by Kim Kardashian. That she shouldn't be working there.
Wait,
and
but
she should go back to her husband with his big dreams.
But
What?
Kim Kardashian's role was obviously the most fascinating to us, even though she was only in like 5 minutes of the movie. But it's like
Her
constantly going
charisma
back.
can't be
and forth.
denied. Allie.
Well, because
Electric.
at some point you think that she has a right to be such a bitch to this other girl because like she must be her boss. But then when you see them in work situations, Vanessa Williams is always telling Kim Kardashian like, schedule this meeting for Judith, who's the other woman. And so it's like, wait, she's just her assistant. She's just being a bitch and she's her assistant.
Exactly, and she should probably be her boss because she knows what the job requires, right?
Yeah, she's like a real Emily Blunt in The Devil Wears Prada.
I don't
know what
even
I'm
know.
talking
what-
Yeah, this movie. I saw those parallels the whole time. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
come
just-
on, Stuart.
I was just remembering all those episodes of Veronica's Closet I DVR'd because that show's still on, right? Because it's super big. It's a big hit.
You're like, this is about a lingerie company. It's got to get good at some point.
So, anyhow,
I liked that show.
Veronica's Closet. I think that's because you're a big Dan Cortez fan.
You like the non-Cheers work of Kirstie Alley.
I liked Olive, the character of Olive.
I don't remember that.
She's the one who looks like this. You guys can't see me, but
Thank you for making that face over the fucking pod waves. Everyone knows.
Okay, so she works at this place. She doesn't really like her
oh yeah,
job.
we haven't even gotten to any of
until
the
she
dirt.
meets this like Snake Man. Not the Snake Man from Jonah Hex's movie, which is my favorite character in a flop-ass movie of all time.
No.
But no, this guy who's like an internet
Bald, skinny guy
zillionaire.
with some fucking shredded abs comes in.
Dude, every guy in this movie has shredded abs. That doesn't
Yeah.
define him in any way from any other male character.
He's got thinner shredded abs,
That's
and
true.
her husband
No.
has broader
He's-
shredded abs.
He's shredded like if you glued a bunch of steaks to a skeleton.
If your abs aren't shredded, just don't even show up to the movie.
Do not apply.
Don't even be in the audience.
This movie was
If you brought
originally
a date
called.
to this movie and you do not have shredded abs, just leave the popcorn with her and go fucking self-terminate in the bathroom.
This movie was called Tyler Perry's 30-minute abs. Which is weird because it
Only was
does.
30 minutes.
It does
We
actually
all had
give
to
you
wear those.
exercises.
We all had to wear those He-Man chests on us from the drugstore during Halloween when we watched this movie because they wouldn't let us watch it otherwise. Okay, now get to the dirt.
So wait, the,
Yeah,
the Snake Man's a jerk.
A snake jerk walks in.
Yeah,
he's
so
really rich.
he's
But we don't know he's a jerk yet.
In,
I
in
mean, you
the
can pretty much assume he starts almost immediately hitting on a married woman.
yeah, and Kim Kardashian refers to him as what was it? The third most important internet something since Mark
The
Zuckerberg.
third most important internet
And I'm
mogul.
like, there's been internet since Zuckerberg?
Yeah, but no,
I'm
yeah,
behind the times is what I'm trying to say.
he's got the hots.
Wait, what?
He's got the hots for this.
He's got a copy of Hots on DVD?
He's got the hots for this country mouse. he wants her bad.
It is, yeah. It's totally like a city mouse and a country mouse. So this country mouse, she's conflicted. She's got a husband. This husband is kind of into having sex with her, but kind of not.
But he's like real conservative. So she wants to
Yeah.
go all wild. She wants to act like a lion. He's not into
His
it.
idea of wacky sex is him in his underpants playing a guitar with a cowboy hat. But
Yeah.
not really playing that guitar.
So she
Dan
get-
got pretty offended by that because he's got some guitar skills. And this dude, despite having shredded abs, does not.
Yeah.
He was just holding the guitar.
Yeah, and lip syncing to "Try a Little Tenderness," the record he put on, and he danced around in a cowboy hat and nothing else. But
Does that
And
even have a guitar
Dan
part?
has learned songs to get laid.
yeah, man, you got to put the work in, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just go to the gym and get totally awesome and hot.
But
You go to the gym and you bring your guitar to the gym.
For dancing?
You do the leg machine and you practice your guitar. That's how you get laid,
Yeah.
guys.
That's what we
From
call
a
dancing
woman,
muscles.
that's how you get laid.
that's why my upper body is not developed because I can only do leg stuff because my hands have to be free for the guitar. But anyway, Snake Man really
So he
awakens the sexual monster within this
Yeah, he
young
starts
lady.
like a full court press on her birthday. He sends her flowers.
Mm-hmm.
He's all about, getting it on.
Because her husband forgets her birthday.
Two
Two
years in a
years
row, dude.
That is not okay.
Like-
So, Hallie, you have a husband.
Okay.
In the
He's-
future,
in the
maybe.
future, you have a country husband who forgets your birthday 2 years in a row. How do you feel about that?
I would be like, I've already left him after he forgot the first one.
But what if he has
That
super
Snake Man
shredded
starting
abs?
to- that Snake Man's starting to look pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a billionaire or something, right?
He has a
and he's got a coke
plane.
problem, we find out.
Well,
But he
also-
seemed so nice before.
He likes to run and he likes to apply bandages over your clothing.
He carried her. He picked her up. That's a huge plus.
Yeah. She well this actually plays into what I wanted to say. There's a scene
we're bouncing all over the place.
yeah, we're bouncing
here.
all
Yeah.
over. We need the
The
structure
center's
that
not-
Elliot
the center's
provides.
not holding.
But there's a scene early on where so her sexual heat has been awakened. She comes home and she wants to have crazy rough sex
And that
with her.
sexual heat is usually evidenced by her with her mouth kind of open and her eyes going almost cross-eyed.
Yeah. So she attacks her husband and she like growls at him, but not in like a sort of a sexy like growly way. Like she might as well be barking like a dog, and then she slaps him in the face several times.
She is asking for rough sex the way you would think Kirk Cameron would pretend to ask for rough sex.
Like someone who's never seen actual sex.
Yeah.
It's like the idea
It's
of
like,
rough
baby,
sex.
you want to eat the sandwich? She's like, rawr, rawr, no, I want your wiener or whatever.
Okay.
I want to shout out on your wiener.
Extra relish, please. She doesn't say that, but she
Yeah.
starts slapping him. He's like, "Baby, you're gonna eat this sandwich, then we're gonna go into the bedroom normal style, and we're gonna forget this ever happened."
And you think that Stuart's joking, but those are almost
That's
verbatim
basically
what
what
he
He
says.
says the only thing you're gonna growl at is this sandwich.
Which
That's
is
her line.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah, so she's got
I mean, I'm into food play,
yeah, right. So
but I don't take that into my bedroom. Then you're gonna have to get a different kind of sheets.
she's got blue ovaries at this time.
Sure,
And so she
What
wakes
does
up
that
early.
mean?
it's the female
Oh,
version
blue
of
balls. Oh, okay.
She wakes up. she has frostbite in her ovary. You missed that scene? So she gets up early and she goes to the park where she knows
That means they're a boy.
Yeah, she's starting to have sexual thoughts about this guy. Who's been
About
coming
Snake
around.
Guy.
Yeah.
So she goes and she deliberately runs into him, and they go jogging, and then she runs into a guy who's riding his bicycle
really
in the park.
blatantly just runs headfirst into a guy.
And Snake Guy like flips out and threatens to beat this guy up, which triggers something in her because earlier her husband was not man enough to protect her from some guys who were catcalling her.
Yeah, a couple of guys saying that she's a fine ass bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Not a finance bitch like Dan's wife assumed.
Yeah. The best mishearing. But yeah, he takes her back to her his love nest. You know, puts the moves on
His
her.
house.
Yeah, but at this point,
And by
she's having
putting the
none of
moves
it.
on her, he applies an ace bandage to her ankle over her sweatpants and her jogging pants. I don't know. I don't know. What do you
Leggings.
Running leggings. Chaps. Applies them over her chaps and her ankle socks.
Speaking of
Which
Friday
is not
night,
how you do that.
Friday Night Lights, my favorite character was Tim Leggins.
Because you're a fan of Bad Boys.
Yeah, man. John Carter.
So she gets back with her husband for a little while, and then eventually she's like, "Oh wait, she spends a lot of time with this other guy who's super wealthy." She's eventually seduced by this wealth. Her mother shows up to stay with him for a while.
Wait. I don't want us to gloss over the rape scene that led to their
Sure,
ultimate.
this comes up. Yeah.
We don't want to gloss over that because I guess it's okay.
Not since Straw Dogs.
Yes.
Have you seen an uncomfortable rape scene turn into, I guess, a lady totally being into it?
Like a hot, passionate sex making.
Yeah. Sex making.
Yeah, so they take
It wasn't
they take
love.
they take his
It was
private
sex
jet
making.
down to they take the private jet down to Sunny Nolens or New Orleans as you Yankees call it. And they shoot a couple montages of them doing fucking New Orleans stuff.
Yeah, like
seeing
eating
the
a
jazz singer.
shit ton of beignets.
Yeah,
Shitload of crawdads probably, I don't know. Drinking fucking Bahama Mama.
Fishing from the river
Yeah.
with like a string tied around their toe.
Yeah, they're going out with like a fan boat. Sure, just hanging out.
Getting in a fight with a voodoo ungum.
Showing
Wrestling
them
Crocs.
their tits to a bunch of people through beat
Both
of
of their
them.
tits. It's crazy. No rules, just right. So then they're on the flight back over Champagne on his private jet. What's the bad guy's name's Harley?
Harley. Yeah.
He
Harley Davidson.
That's how he got his fortune. He has the same name as the motorcycle. So
He has a patent on the fucking name.
he's a patent troll, basically.
He doesn't even have the patent. He just got the domain. He's made all his money
Yeah.
off it.
That's
The
why he's
cyber
such a-
squatter.
yeah, super smart web developer. So after there's a really weird scene of the two of them kind of flirting, I guess, and a lot of it's like cutting to each of their faces. And each time it cuts to his face, it looks like he's doing some other kind of weird, sexy face in the mirror. Like this one is kind of coy. This one's like kind of weird with his eyes open. Like it's super strange. And eventually it gets to the point where he's just got to have it. He can't forgive his aching groin. So he starts to make a move.
He knows she wants it, man.
And she resists. She says no many, many times before he eventually
And
says,
Not only does she say no, she like pushes him off and she's like, "No, get off of me. This is wrong. No, please. I don't want this."
I'm
Yeah,
married.
she
I
says-
told you many times.
No, enough times to make everyone in the audience be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, this is going to be a rape scene. We don't want to see this. We do. Please
It's not
stop."
funny. That's not funny.
Stop laughing. So and then he says very calmly, "Okay, so you can say you resisted." Before they then proceed to make out and totally do it, which is weird because who's she going to say she resisted to? Like the press,
The
pilot.
police.
pilot, the pilot.
The pilot was coming back to give them the little wing pin. It's like he like slowly backs back into the cockpit. I'll just
I resisted.
I resisted.
So she totally does it with this dude. She cries. She takes a long shower, and then she gets on a fight with her husband, I guess.
and then she calls him up again.
And yeah, she can't
Apparently, she's
Can't
just got to
stay
forget
have
her
away.
normal urges.
Yeah,
They're totally normal urges. And she goes,
do what your body wants.
and then they do it some more, and they get in a fight, and then they do it some more.
But like, it is bad news from the get go.
Yeah, like right away, you know this is not going to be a great relationship.
The second time they're together, she's drinking wine. He's like, "Here, have this." She's like, "Oh, I'm okay with wine," and he's like, "No, have this." And then she snorts cocaine. People,
But it's weird.
No
but
way.
The whole thing is weirdly framed, so you have to just infer that it's cocaine.
Yeah, they never show what he's giving her. They just show her being like,
Tyler Perry's
afterwards.
like, we can't afford even fake cocaine in this movie, so you're just going to have to pretend. He's
Yeah. And meanwhile, her mom's in town. She's like,
the Reverend.
the
Yeah,
Reverend
you're
Sarah,
not-
sure.
you don't call me at 6 a.m. to pray anymore.
Which is, in her defense, I wouldn't call a reverend to pray at 6 a.m. That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's really early.
And the Reverend's like, you don't cook for your man? Like,
That's also weird.
the Reverend shows up to, really support some retrograde notions about marriage.
Basically, to shame her daughter into
Yeah.
subservience.
But anyway, her
Meanwhile-
daughter gets all
Which
Meanwhile,
she could
her-
use, am I right?
And this husband, her daughter's
high
not
five,
supporting,
Allie.
is getting in this weird adventure with Moesha, who gets a job at his pharmacy. It turns out Moesha had a bad boyfriend.
Oh yeah,
And is on the run from him, so she gets a job at a pharmacy. There's
husband. They were married.
Oh, they were
They
married? I didn't know
were
that part.
Married.
I was a little too focused on the kind of sassy old white lady who owns the pharmacy.
and is always trying to get them to like take some Valium that she has.
Trying to
in
get him
the
to take Valium, trying to infer that Moesha is a lesbian.
grabbing a ton of hard candy from the jar up front and putting in her purse.
She's a real character, guys. Watch out for that one.
I think there's a role like that for you in the upcoming Tyler Perry movie, Bad Pharmacy Owner. So,
Tyler Perry is
Smash
Medea's bad pharmacy's owner.
Pharmacy zoner? She zones pharmacies? Is she like a city planner or something? She would be terrible at that.
Oh,
She's a
there's already-
council member, okay?
There's already 8 pharmacies on this block. We can't have another one.
So,
Thank Tyler Perry's Medea's bad pharmacy's owner.
Smash cut to our heroine, Judith, who is hanging out with her new boyfriend, Harley. They're doing a bunch of coke. They're going to these weird sex parties where everybody's kind of like a sex zombie.
I think they were just nightclubs.
That's a wait a minute. It's not like any nightclub I've ever seen
But
where
it
you
does-
just wander in and people start grabbing at you and
they do
offering
seem
you
like,
things.
Yeah, sex zombies because the husband, who is a very handsome man, comes in and is immediately clawed at by some.
He's like pushing women down,
Yeah.
Yeah.
probably pushing men down. Who knows, man? It's the 90s. So
Stuart, I've got some bad news for you.
we'll go over after the podcast.
Okay.
So after that, she goes home with her husband, or she has a
No,
conversation
she
with him.
says,
She's like,
"Sorry, dude."
get back in your old timey truck. I don't need you.
No, she's like, you're a great guy, but I need an exceptional guy.
Yeah, that's the other
I mean,
weird
that's
thing.
kind of a compliment still, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she hates him or anything. She's just,
She says the other guy makes her feel alive. She
Mm-hmm.
just wants to feel alive. And she feels dead inside when she's with her husband.
yeah, because
That makes sense. I mean, he
he doesn't
forgets her.
respond to any kind of slapping.
He's not into weird slap sex, and he forgot her birthday 2 years in a row.
But I do want to mention the very deft film choice of the dichotomy between the snake's car and the husband's car. So the snake's car is like red Ferrari, and the husband's
Powerful.
car is like old-timey truck with a hay barrel in the back.
yeah.
Yeah, there's like a hay bale in the back.
Allie pointed out, how long have they been in the city? They've still got hay in the back of the truck.
It's the most obvious. It's one of the more obvious country versus city mouse situations,
Yeah.
next to like Sweet Home Alabama.
Anyway, but I think we're getting to the shocking twist, Stuart, which I think you should,
Oh
you should
man,
drop the bomb on us.
How can I tell this in the best way? So she's going crazy on coke, getting in fights with this dude all the time because it turns out he's not actually that great of a boyfriend. Big surprise. Meanwhile, across town, her husband is having dinner with Moesha. This was the exact scene that Hallie was forced to say, this movie's got a lot of great booties in it. So Moesha...
Forced to say.
Moesha forced at booty point. Moesha's explaining to Bryce. His name's Bryce, right? That's an
Yeah.
awesome name. She's explained to Bryce about her former relationship and how her asshole ex-husband gave her HIV from sleeping around. And it's partly her fault, I guess, for sticking around while she knew he was cheating. And then the big reveal, she explains her husband's name is Harley, our very own Snake Man character. Bryce is like, no way, my wife's with that Snake Man. So he jumps into his truck. They drive over there. He kicks down the door, finds them all like passed out and beat up,
Yeah, because meanwhile, Harley has been beat like the shit out of Judith.
and left her in a bathtub so she doesn't bleed all over the nice carpet.
Oh.
So, I mean, he's thoughtful.
To the carpet?
After he gets, so Bryce rescues his wife. She's super happy, of course. And then he wakes up Harley only to do a patented Goldberg spear to him through the window, beats him up a little bit, and Moesha's like, no, you're killing him. He's like, blah, blah, blah. He's probably already dead inside. I don't remember. And then he storms out, leaves the, I guess, soon-to-be-dead web developer on the ground. And
So at this point, 3/4 of our main characters have AIDS.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be dated, but do you really want to throw a guy through a window and embrace him when he has AIDS? When you're going through...
Sure, you should put on a wetsuit or leather gloves or something. What are you saying?
I just feel like it's a lot of
So-
blood.
So I don't want to misquote you, but what you're saying, Hallie, is if you were going to beat up someone with AIDS, you
I'd
would
put on a
bodysuit.
hazmat suit.
Sure. All right.
I
Well,
would.
Tasers are readily available.
Thank you
Why not
for
use
that.
one of
That
those?
was a joke.
Yeah.
You guys, that was a joke.
It's
it was for
comedy.
humor purposes.
Yeah.
Just if you want
It's
me
for
to
humor
prove it.
purposes only.
No retweets.
Yeah. So we flash forward.
So at that point, we're like, okay, I guess this is the whole story. Wonderful. And it cuts to the marriage counselor that we remember from the beginning, still talking to her patient, I guess.
and her patient's like, "Thank you so much
For
My
telling me
husband,
this super boring story.
I guess, was such a dick that he stormed out of this session, but
No, she
we should
was
still stay married."
fantasizing about another guy, and she was
Oh,
like,
okay.
"Now I won't go off with him.
I see. So
You've slut shamed me into not
yeah.
going off
I
with
guess
this guy.
women are devils, is what.
I don't want to get AIDS, so I won't go off with him."
Yeah,
So and we find out that in truth,
we realize.
the hero from the story, Judith, is actually the marriage counselor who was telling us this story. She goes to the same exact pharmacy that her husband works at, but it turns out her husband, it's not her husband anymore. He has a new family.
He is a new, decent, God-fearing woman who doesn't have AIDS.
Presumably. We don't know that for sure, Dan.
It's true.
We know that he doesn't
wait.
because the therapist asked her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But we do find out that Judith, in fact, has AIDS.
Yeah.
Has HIV at least.
So the moral of the story is stay with your boring, non-interesting sex-having husband who forgets your birthday and who fears God, because otherwise you're going to get AIDS.
Yeah. Or forget your wife's birthday all you want. You're going to trade up on a much younger wife who doesn't have AIDS, and it's going to be great.
So, do you guys think he owned the pharmacy at the end?
Well, was it different?
Well, he had a lot of gray hair, so that gray hair probably came from business ownership.
I didn't
Yeah.
see the other old lady.
Oh, she died.
She
She's
probably
long dead.
OD'd on Valium, right?
Yeah.
I think if you look hard enough, you can probably see her as a ghost in the background. That's the kind of eye for detail that Tyler Perry usually has. So,
Speaking of Tyler Perry's directorial stamp, can I just this is a almost 2-hour movie, 110 minutes. Could easily have been 80.
25.
If you had taken out all of the pregnant pauses.
That were false pregnancies, if you will. Because they were just,
Yeah, the rhythm of this movie was way off.
And a lot of those pauses came in the flirtation scenes, and okay, I can forgive that a little bit. But there was also a lot of scenes of two characters just awkwardly walking up a flight of stairs and fumbling with a lock.
Yeah, let's keep
Like, you
that
don't
all
need-
in. All that's gold. No, you don't need to just show the car arriving and then show them inside. You got to show them going up all of those stairs,
For
opening
you,
the
for
door.
you to really
closing
understand the
door behind him.
temptation that this wife is facing, you're going to need really long scenes of her work environment and see her coworkers kind of shaming her into wearing sluttier clothes.
Yeah, just long scenes of her staring at a guy and him staring back at her and them talking as slowly as possible.
Well, at least I can accept that because that's some kind of awkward attempt to recreate flirtation in a movie, which
That's the way you get ladies.
that's how I do it. Is
Mesmerize
I basically
them.
do a lot of mugging and snake charming.
Literal mugging.
You still-
I have your purse. Go on a date with me, please.
I can probably find out either your current address or a past address. So I'll send you a love note.
I'm gonna stuff a note in your purse and leave it on your doorstep.
The cash will be gone.
Well, that's what paid for the note. Okay, man, wow, that was a tight summary we just did.
Yeah,
Front to back, no jokes, no tangents, perfect.
nothing funny.
Nothing funny. So, what else do you have to say about this, Dan? How do you feel Tyler Perry held up his end of this contract between you and him?
Me and him as a viewer. This movie did not only anger me on a on a movie level, a movie craft level.
Well, you grew up with parents or a parent who was
You grew
involved
up
in the
with-
church, right?
You grew up with Tyler Perry, right?
Yeah, we were best buddies. We were the inspiration for Lethal Weapon. They took some liberties with our story.
Yeah, exactly. You're kind of a Riggs figure.
No, I mean, I had religious. I grew up in a religious family, but not a weirdly retrograde
Sure. So,
family that insists.
so your
that the
parents don't
women-
insist on your wife cooking for you
Yeah.
and servicing you 3 times a week. It was
At
something
least
like that?
3 times.
At
a
least
week.
3 times a week. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. This movie upset me. I think we should just go on to final judgment. We should talk about whether this was a good bad movie, a bad movie, or a movie we kind of liked. I think you know where I stand. It was a bad movie. It was bad in craft. It was bad in message. Hallie, what do you have to say?
Yeah, like I have to be honest, I was really excited to watch this movie. I had seen
Mostly because KK was in it, Kim Kardashian.
1K off from being very unfortunate. but no, I had seen the preview somewhere and I was like, hey, I wouldn't admit it, but I'd love to see that movie. And then
Crack a box of wine.
right. And throughout it I kept feeling like
You were
I
being
needed
punished
to
for that thought.
Yeah, that God was punishing me for ever being tempted with this movie. So no, I thought it was a bad movie also.
I feel like I'm going to side with you guys, but I feel like if it had been a little bit tighter, if it hadn't been quite so long, I think it might have been a good bad movie because it's so stupid and so hammy, and
It's
so
very ham-fisted in its message, for sure.
and the idea of punishing all the bad characters with HIV is so crazy. It's such a crazy leap.
Yeah, that's messed.
Yeah, the twist is
But
so
they didn't
strange.
punish Moesha. She was okay.
Or was she?
I mean, she never found.
I mean,
love
she's
again.
still alive at the end of the movie because I think she's still working in that pharmacy.
Yeah, she was.
And that's a good job, probably. I mean, once he took it over, he probably offers benefits to all of his employees.
Yeah, let's get that.
So I guess that's 3 bad movies. So I'm sorry, everybody.
All right. Well,
What's the next thing we do, Dan?
great segue, Stuart. The next thing we do is we answer letters from listeners. Listeners like you.
Yeah.
What was that, Dan?
Letters from listeners like you.
You're not even doing a letter song?
I can't.
Letters.
3 half-hearted leather songs.
Please get letters.
Great. Thanks, Alan. So, before we get to letters,
You're going to reach deep into that mailbag.
a quick thanks. We get a fair number of donations from fans, and I've fallen down on.
Hard times.
I've fallen down when it comes to recognizing all of the donations, but I did want to send a quick thanks to Robert Dunstan for his ridiculously generous donation. He sent us
A
far
ridiculous
too much money,
amount.
but
Thanks, Robert.
he's
$1
not
million.
getting any of it back.
Thank you.
Wait, what's that? What's that beeping noise?
Is someone at the door?
Oh,
Something's about to get edited out.
we don't edit this.
So Dan's going to reach deep into the mailbag, grab onto a nice juicy letter, and pull it out.
The first letter is titled "A Spookily Good Bad Thank You." It's from Mary Kate. She says, "To avoid the Olsen twin jokes that have plagued me most of my life, she will not withhold her last name, Moran."
Okay, so it's Mary Kate Olsen.
She says, "I discovered your podcast with your first mention in the AV Club and quickly became a Flophouse evangelist. I even started a church, but that was more for tax purposes. I know other fans have written in and said your podcast has been a bright point in tough times, and I have to say the same. Things are great now, but that summer was particularly rough. Dreaming of a world of tomorrow that contained a rocket crocodile or craving a box of Chopin Gotables made for a wonderful, welcome distraction. But I was also lucky enough to catch your 12-round screening. Afterward, I went up to Dan and mentioned I was visiting from Cincinnati on business, but I stayed an extra day for the screening. Dan looked at me like I was crazy. To be fair, I had had a few drinks, was wearing a party dress, carrying a to-go box of leftover risotto, and was alone. I brought a friend, but she had to leave during the intermission. I swear to God I have friends. Spoiler alert, the screening was the highlight of an awesome trip that included a lot of theater and comedy. Anywho, thanks. The Flophouse is now one of my main sources for laughs, more than any TV show or good bad pun my boyfriend throws at me, who I've also indoctrinated to your podcast. I think he's a keeper. Cheers from Mary Kate." I apologize for looking at you like you were crazy.
Yeah, Dan gets pretty defensive at those live
I
screenings.
don't get defensive at it. I'm just awkward. I'm awkward in real life with people I actually know.
Dan
So-
can't believe anybody actually likes him. So if you're giving him praise, that's how he'll look at you.
I mean, yeah, particularly a stranger.
Yeah, he thinks he's being gaslighted or something.
But thank you for that.
Gaslit? Gaslight? I don't know.
I just wanted to. I thought that was a nice tale of a live Flophouse encounter.
Sure. You're going to tell us the tale of temptation, being tempted by Dan McCoy in the Flophouse. Luckily, this one ended up pretty positive, I guess. There's a boyfriend.
This letter is called Stuart's Influence.
Uh-oh.
Go.
Hey, dudes. I was recently doing some online shopping on Amazon, looking to add more films to my ever-expanding collection. While looking over my wish list, I realized I still had the Head of the Family DVD there. Thinking, why not?
It's in my wish list, wishing that somebody would buy it for me.
Thinking, why not? I added it to my cart along with numerous other spookily good bad movies, Event Horizon among them. After
Sure,
I made
okay.
my purchase, moments later, a list of films recommended to me based on what I had bought popped up. The list read as follows: Castle Freak, Invisible Maniac, Doll Man, and Doll Man vs. Demonic Toys. So I'm just letting Stuart know that his taste in film is clearly influencing America's purchases. Or, you know, it could be that they're all full moon movies. Either or. Signed, Sarah, last name withheld. So congratulations, you're a taste maker.
Yeah.
You're the fresh maker.
I think I think Full Moon features President Charles Band is probably indebted to me or something. And yeah, it's the first couple times I've seen Castle Freak and Head of the Family paired together. That's when I really knew that I've had an effect. Why are we all just watching Dan's cat smell boots?
Because he's smelling my boots and he's smelling my cat's. She is smelling my cat.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Stuart, your story about Charles Band or whatever is pretty
Yeah,
good.
it's pretty bullshit, but
But, I mean, looking at my cat, looking at Hallie's boots is pretty great. I hope that you, the podcast listener,
okay,
is
imagine
having as much fun.
Imagine a pair of boots soggy from the snow.
Yeah, imagine a pair of tiny bean boots that fit on Hallie's tiny elf feet. And then imagine a giant fat cat sticking her
Perplexed
head
by a
right
human
down
with
the
such
middle.
small feet,
Yeah.
still carrying ice crystals from the snowy walkway.
Actually, there's Yeah, Lulu's having a field day with 3 different pairs of boots right now. So,
So this has been the Boot House. Check us out for all your boot-related needs. Big boots, small boots.
Pick up our Cats and Boots calendar. It's discounted now that we're a few weeks into 2014.
Yeah. So we're practically paying you to take it.
So I hope that answers your question. If you had a question, which I can't
About
remember.
boots.
So this next letter is titled, Trying to Introduce My Mom to the Flophouse.
Okay. First mistake.
My mom asked me, what's a podcast? So I do my best to describe subscription-based audio files, and it's going well enough until I start talking about some of my favorite shows. She
Yeah.
likes movies, so I mentioned the Flophouse, and she's on board. I then make the mistake of mentioning the infamous Ding Dong Gate controversy about the film Cats a Freak, where the titular freak may or may not rip off his own ding dong. At which point we have a massive communication failure. She thinks I'm describing a man stealing a Hostess brand snack cake from someone else, or maybe eating his own snack cake, and then blaming someone else for the ripoff. It was at this point I realized I may be too far immersed in the Flophouse vernacular because the homophones never occurred to me. Bradley, last name withheld.
Yeah, so I think there's definitely a couple points where you went wrong there. I think describing something you really like using the a drunken steward explaining why he likes the movie Castle Freak is because he misremembers a dude ripping his own dick off. It's probably a key moment where you messed up.
I mean, I don't know why that would be something that you would share with your mom.
Yeah, that's what usually gets this podcast filed in iTunes under Not for Moms.
My parents listen to this podcast, and it is a never-ending source of alarm to me.
My mom occasionally posts on the Flophouse Facebook page. Did I just say Flophouse and you didn't fuck with me that time? Dan, come on.
I'm not a monster like you, Stuart.
And so every time she does, it's really great, and it usually doesn't have any punctuation. But she's an English teacher. I don't get it.
What about your mom? Did she listen to the Flophouse?
My mom is a professor, and one time she's not a professor. Sorry, mom.
Different mom.
Yeah, I just lied.
She's a teacher, but she teaches some grad school class. No, I'm sorry. She's a therapist, but she teaches some grad school classes.
Okay, she
She's-
sells shoes.
She's a
all right?
psychologist. She's a
right, my mom's a
psychoanalyst.
hobo. Okay.
Hello, my mom. Okay, so she teaches these grad school classes, and she said that in Denver, Colorado,
Of all places.
yeah, very far away from the Big Apple, New York City.
New York City.
Pretty far
as
from
they
the
would
internet.
say in a sauce.
Yeah.
A salsa, yeah, Pace Picante sauce.
And apparently, one of her students in a big lecture, I don't know that for sure. I made that up. It might have been a small class. Approached her, approached her and said,
Do you really have a mom?
Did I hear your daughter who has the same last name as you on this podcast? And it was this podcast.
Which is super weird because you write for the Daily Show. Like your name's in the credits on a show every night.
I don't think anyone looks at that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, especially since I would say 90% of the time the show runs long and the credits get cut off.
Yeah. Or they run at like 100 miles
Breakneck
per
speed.
hour. Yeah.
So somebody has to be watching it super carefully to see Dan McCoy listed.
It looks more like Bert Storch.
Sure.
So this last letter is titled, I Found My Hat. We did it. I had written a couple of months back about losing my hat during a move. The move was from Chicago to Mount Prospect, in case you were wondering.
I wasn't.
Q Elliott saying, nope, he's not here. Well, I finally found the hat inside a box in the basement that my girlfriend never unpacked because all of mine are
She never unpacked a basement?
No, the box in the basement. She's not lazy or anything, although sometimes I'm mowing the lawn and I know she's just watching True Blood inside. And I'm like, God, come on, woman. But I guess she just never got around to these boxes. And now that she found a spider in the basement, she won't go through the boxes. Anyway,
You can't unpack the boxes. She's solely responsible for
I
unpacking
think
the
these are
boxes.
specifically her
I
boxes.
think if we're breaking down
okay.
responsibilities, his responsibility is box unpacking and lawn mowing, and hers is True Blood. I guess fan page maintenance.
Somebody's gonna watch it.
Yeah, she-
Gotta watch it.
She probably writes for Television Without Pity or something. She's got to watch that True Blood. Anyway, he says, I would have written in and said, thanks for the help, but you didn't really do anything. I did all the work, but I didn't want to let you know. Close the loop, you know? Okay, cool. See you. John, last name with help. Didn't
yeah,
we
thanks.
do anything? Didn't we, John? Didn't we?
I mean, we did. Hallie didn't really do anything.
No.
She's probably cooling her heels.
Hallie's wondering why we're talking about a guy who lost his hat.
Okay, let me explain to you real quick.
There's a
This
guy.
guy John, he lost his hat and he needed us to find it, so we like read a letter about it on the internet, and people listened and they wrote about it on the Facebook page. I guess I don't know.
Flash forward to now. Hat found. Congratulations, Flophouse. We did it. We did it, boys. Woo!
That was a high five sound effect.
Cut to everyone on mission control standing up and cheering.
Crying.
Popping bottles. So yeah, that was letters. We what else do we fucking do here?
Come on, man.
This is the new studio. I'm
Get
all
it
messed up.
together.
Oh, so we talk about movies we actually liked. So we just watched Temptation, a story of Tyler Perry's marriage. Now we're going to talk about movies that you should watch, probably instead of Temptation. Dan,
Oh, why did you go to me first?
Stuart,
no, I can-
Hallie.
I can go first, but as we said at the beginning of the show, I moved just recently.
Yep,
we're
from one apartment to
recording
another apartment.
in a new apartment, and which means that I have not had a chance really to watch movies.
Okay.
So there's no
'Cause
new
you were-
movies.
Making a moving of your own.
Classic word
stuff.
association.
I will say though, I'll recommend another form of visual media. I enjoy.
You saw a bunch of funny memes on the internet.
there was a really good Herb and Jamal comic strip.
Hey, Overboard, what's up with those pirates, huh?
I want to recommend. I watched the first couple episodes of the HBO show True Detective,
Okay.
and I really enjoy it.
Like that McConaughey,
I like
right?
that McConaughey and that Woody Harrelson, and it's interesting to think those two.
That's a whistle sound
Who are
effect,
you-
I guess.
Who are you wolf whistling there?
Both of them.
Okay.
Meow.
I think
Ooh.
Row, indeed.
it's interesting that both of those guys I think are guys that when they first started out, people liked them fine, but they wouldn't have been like those guys.
That
are
white
great
man can't
fucking
jump.
Actors like they're gonna turn out to be like superstars. But now, they're a little older, they're a little grayer. They're super great. They're
Well,
super great actors.
Yeah, I mean, they have experience at this point. Matthew McConaughey's been on a hot streak.
But I think that's the main thing to recommend the show. I mean, the show's good on its own. There's a lot of actually pretty funny stuff in that show for how grim it is.
Yeah.
Like the weird odd couple pairing between like Matthew McConaughey, who's super existentialist, like grim guy, and then Woody Harrelson, who's playing like Woody Harrelson. But mostly just the acting on it is really fun to watch.
Yeah,
So I
and
recommend that.
It's shot really well, and I'm
Yeah.
a sucker for references to The King in Yellow and Lost Carcosa.
Sure.
Lovecraftian mythos stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Stuart, what about you?
I recently watched a movie that is probably going to be in my best of 2013 list that Dan's super waiting for. Was You're Next, which is kind of a play on is a home invasion movie, and also kind of a play on a home invasion movie. And it stars, it features a lot of, what is it? Adam Wingard, I think, is the director. And it's a whole bunch of these, like indie horror filmmakers that have been throwing out a lot of movies nowadays. Joe Swanberg,
Yeah.
Ty West is in it. And it's got a great cast, and they The cast is kind of larger than I initially expected, being that it was a low budget movie, and it's kind of deliberate. It takes its time. They managed to put a fair amount of comedy in there, and I don't want to go so far as to say that it's almost like a Scream level take on a horror movie, but it does feel a little bit like almost like a postmodernist home invasion horror movie. So check it out; it's fun.
All right, and I've confirmed that you are correct in the name of the director. So,
Yes.
2 points to Gryffindor.
I did it. All because I rescued Hagrid.
Allie, do you have a recommendation?
I will say if you're looking for a bad good movie, Lovelace is in Lovelace.
Lovelace?
Lovelace.
As in Linda Lovelace?
Yes, is free on some form of watching stuff.
It's Netflix streaming.
Yeah. And I watched it the other day, and it definitely has really stuck with me. I found a lot of moments in my life that I'm like, oh, that reminds me of this movie I just watched, which makes me think, like, maybe I should get out of the porn industry, or at least the animal porn industry. Just kidding. But the point is, good movie-ish. I recommend it.
Well, did you start watching it like a 16-year-old boy would have started watching it? Because you're like, oh, this is a movie about porno, and it's on late at night, so I'm going to watch it. Mm-hmm. Or did you watch it because you're like, I love Amanda Seyfried?
I started watching it with boys who were like, oh my God, this would be so funny if we watched this movie. Wouldn't it be? It's so bad. But really, I think probably the 16-year-old boy approach. And then
that's the genesis of the Flophouse right there, by the way.
I think these boys need to be more honest about their. Come on, man, just be upfront.
I
be upfront about your goals.
You need to have like a Pervisoid rap session where you flip your baseball cap around and flip your chair around. Like, have a seat, guys. Let's talk about your movie watching.
Everyone likes to see naked people. All right, it's cool.
Yeah, a lot of beautiful naked people. So watch it.
Interesting recommendation. So we had a couple of movies we recommended. We had a couple of laps. We talked about a movie for a while. Listened to some letters.
So, Allie, what are we going to do to stop the tyranny of Elliot from returning to our shores? Please don't go. Please.
Well, if ever you need me, just call, and I will be there.
Because you're down the hall from me.
Exactly. Put up the Hallie sign in the night sky.
Could you describe the Hallie sign for us?
It's like a girl, like with her chin on her hands, being like, "Hey."
That's totally the Hallie sign.
That's the Hallie sign.
Well, thank you for stepping in so bravely,
filling a hole.
Well,
arguably small hole.
Yeah. Well, Elliot,
chicken grease smelling hole.
Elliot selfishly decided to breed and take.
Yeah, he brought new life into the world.
Yeah, big deal. Anyone could do that. Come on,
bag it, bag it, everybody.
Actually, I saw his baby. It's pretty cute.
Okay,
not it. He.
Yeah, that's true.
It's pretty small still.
Sure, it could go either way.
Yeah, you don't know.
We're gonna leave it up to it to make the choice.
We don't know.
We're a post-gender society at this point.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's the potential for offense in this.
Yeah, no, it's been great.
Yeah, so we should probably sign off. For the Flophouse, I've been Dan McCoy.
That's how we do it. So, and I've been Stuart Wellington.
And I've been and will continue to be Hallie Hagland.
Good night, everyone.
Yay!
Good night, everybody. I miss you.
Do we need to do any promotion of T-shirts?
I'd like to promote my T-shirt.
I just don't think there's been a lot of talk about my T-shirt.
We'll file that under new business. A friend of mine tried to order a T-shirt, and we were sold out. And then we weren't sold out, and she got her T-shirt.
What?
Good story. So,
It's a regular confession of a
An
podcaster.
emotional royal.
My friend did this thing and it was super boring.
She was
Enjoy.
tempted to buy a T-shirt.